students, I am Anila Thomas. Today I am going to explain a lesson, Cell, Basic Unit of Life, of class 8th Biology. After the completion of this lesson, students will be able to know the discovery of cells, the observation of cells in onion peel, the observation of human cheek cells, cell structures and cell organelles, diversity of cells. We all know that honey bees build a beautiful home, the honeycomb, to store the honey. The honeycomb contains different compartments or individual cells. So let's learn about cell, the basic unit of life, its structure and diversity. We live in an environment with other living organisms like plants and animals. We also know many unicellular organisms that are visible only under microscope. Therefore, the organisms coexist include from minute mosses to huge conifers, invisible bacteria to huge animals like elephant, all have a basic unit called cell. Based on the structural organization, organisms can be classified into prokaryotes and eukaryotes. In some organisms like bacteria, cyanobacteria and mycoplasma, the true nucleus is absent. These organisms are called prokaryotes. However, organisms like algae, fungi, plants and animals have cells with a well-defined nucleus covered by membrane. These organisms are called eukaryotes. Some organisms have a single cell body and they are called as unicellular organisms. For example, yeasts and amoeba. Organisms such as plants, animals and human beings are made of many number of cells and they are called multicellular organisms. Keywords: cell, cell membrane, cell wall, unicellular, multicellular, organelles, cytoplasm, nucleus. Let's see the concept map on cell, cell organelles and cell types shown here. Let's know about the discovery of the cell. The scientists like Athanasius Kircher, Jan Swammerdam, Antony van Leeuwenhoek, and Robert Hooke observed different things under the microscope. Antony van Leeuwenhoek in 1674 was one of the earliest persons to see living bodies like bacteria, yeast, protozoa, red blood cell, and the streaming life in a drop of water. He prepared several types of magnifying glasses and used these lenses to study about both living and non-living things. It was in the year 1665 that Robert Hooke, a British scientist, observed thin slices of cork. Under a simple magnifying device which he had made himself. He observed that the cork resembled the structure of a honeycomb, consisting of many empty spaces or empty box-like structures. He thought that the cork was made up of very small cavities. Robert Hooke called these cavities as cells. Cell is a Latin word for a little room. The discovery of cell by Robert Hooke was a milestone in the history of science. Cells of cork and of matchstick are dead cells. Schleiden, a botanist, and Schwann, a zoologist from Germany, together put forth the cell theory in 1839. The cell theory states that the body of living organisms is formed of one or more cells. All the cells arise only from pre-existing cells through cell division. Let's know about observation of an onion peel. Peel an onion and cut out a small fleshy portion from the bulb. We notice a thin translucent membrane holding the pieces together. Cut a small piece of the membrane and spread it evenly in a drop of water on a slide. Cover it with a cover slip and observe it under the microscope. The onion peel cells that are observed under microscope are the plant cells. Any cell, when observed under a compound microscope, shows three prominent parts. They are cell membrane, cytoplasm, and nucleus. A cell is surrounded by a cell membrane or plasma membrane. It separates the interior of the cell from outside environment. Cell membrane helps to maintain the shape of the cell and it controls the movement of selected substances into or out of the cell. Since the onion peel is plant cell, we observe the cell wall external to the cell membrane. The cell wall is observed only in plant cells. Do you know which part of the cell gives its shape? The components of the cell are enclosed in a membrane. This membrane provides shape to the cells of plants and animals. Cell wall is an additional covering over the cell membrane in plant cells. It gives shape and rigidity to these cells. Bacterial cell also have a cell wall. Let's observe animal cells now. Wash your mouth cleanly and scrape the inner surface of your cheek with a clean wooden or plastic spoon. Now, take the scraping and place it in a drop of water taken on a slide. Cover the slide with a cover slip. Observe the slide under the microscope. We can observe the human cheek cells. Observation of the nucleus. Though it is generally believed that Felis Fontana first saw the nucleus in the epithelial cells of the outermost layer of the animal body in the 18th century. The credit for observing the nucleus in different kinds of cells and recognizing that it was an integral part of the cells goes to Robert Brown. In 1831, while observing cells in the epidermis of orchid leaves, Robert Brown noticed a circular spot that was slightly opaquer than the surrounding areas. He noted that similar structures were present in other cells as well. Robert Brown claimed that this structure was an integral part of the cell and called it nucleus. Comparing the onion peel cells and human cheek cells. So, the conspicuous difference between the onion peel cell and human cheek cells is the cell wall. The cell wall observed in the plant cells provide the rigidity to the cells. Both the cells have outer layer called cell membrane, and it gives shape to the cells. The nucleus is present in both the cells. The jelly-like substance is found between the nucleus and cell membrane and is called cytoplasm. The cytoplasm contains membrane-bound structures known as cell organelles. Cell organelles help to carry out several functions within the cell, and therefore the cells are known as the structural and functional units of the living body. Diversity in cells. In onion peel cells, you have seen that nearly all cells are similar in structure and shape. But there are millions of living organisms in nature that have different shapes, sizes, and vary in the number of cells they contain. The organisms like amoeba, paramecium, chlamydomonas are the microorganisms. All these are single-celled and are called unicellular organisms. Uni means single. In these, the single cell is capable of performing all the life processes like obtaining food, respiration, excretion, growth, and reproduction. The living organisms with more than one cell are called multicellular organisms that have different types and number of cells. For example, if we observe a thin section of dicot stem such as spinach or tridax, we observe 4 groups of cells marked as A, B, C and D as shown in the figure. Group A cells form the outermost layer of the stem and they give a shape to the stem as well as protection. Major portion of stem is made up of group B cells. In a green stem, this portion has special organs that carry out photosynthesis. Group C consists of cells that join together to form long structures that conduct food and water in the plant body. Group D cells are present in the center of a young stem and form a hollow structure in the mature stem. The animals and humans show different cells such as blood, muscle and nerve cells. The different shapes are related to their specific functions. Generally, cells are round, spherical or elongated. Some cells are long and pointed at both ends and exhibit a spindle shape. Cells sometimes are quite long. Some are branched like the nerve cell or a neuron. Now we will see the size of cells. The size of cells in living organisms may be as small as a millionth of a meter or may be as large as a few centimeters. The smallest cell is 0.1 to 0.5 micrometer like bacteria. The largest cell measuring 170 millimeter into 130 millimeter is the egg of an ostrich. The size of the cell is related to its function. For example, nerve cells in both man and elephant are long and branched. They perform the same function, that is, transferring message. The size of the organism is depending on the number of cells and not on the size of the cell. Let's summarize the lesson.